All right, brothers and sisters, the Dr. Don Radio Show. No judgment, just realness here on Raise the Praise 100, where we give you praise all day, every day, 24/7 a day, 24/7. You know what I mean. Praise all day, every day. It is no judgment, just realness tonight on breaking the generational curse of sexual abuse. Stop the silence. This sister is very vocal, unashamed about sharing her powerful testimony about how far God has brought her. And people do not look like what they have been through, y'all. People don't look like what they've been through. That's why I'm so grateful to have just these beautiful people come on and just bless the mic and just share their testimony. But thank you for those who are watching on StreamYard. I now am live on my personal Facebook page, Dawn Paul. Brothers and sisters, I have to give this sister a proper introduction. Yeah, I feel like a rapper. I don't know. I feel like proper introduction. Lynn Meyer, also known as the Thriving Warrior. Okay, also known as the Thriving Warrior. She is an author, speaker, HRT coach. She is a sexual abuse survivor and an advocate. She is sharing her powerful testimony tonight. Let's welcome back to the Dr. Don Radio Show, Lynn Meyer. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me back. I feel like I'm at home. Like, exactly. I feel so comfortable being here.
Yeah,
so
you are at home. Technically, yeah. Virtual, hello. But no,
exactly.
I understand what you're saying because, Lynn, it's not easy to share this testimony, right? I mean, people think, oh, she just shares it so effortlessly. You know, so it's not easy. So we thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
We really thank you for being here. And anyone, if you want to put your comments on StreamYard, please feel free to, or if you want to call in 346-355-0100. Okay, so Lynn, first question. First of all, you know, we just have to get right into this. Talk about the sexual abuse that you endured and who was the predator.
Absolutely. So when I speak about sexual abuse, just like you said before, it's not one of those things that affect me in the way it used to before. I used to get very emotional and I couldn't talk about it. I would break down. But God has made me so much stronger in telling my story because he understands that he's using me for an assignment. Yeah. So I just had to say that.
But if you do break down, that's okay.
Yeah, and that is true. Yeah. But I say that because sometimes when I tell a story or tell part of my story, people are like, you're so strong. You're so strong. And I'm like, I wasn't before. and some days I still don't feel strong. But I just wanted to say that. So the perpetrator was my biological father. He has now been deceased for 3 years. But this happened when I was younger, like a toddler. And he was the person that sexually abused me for 7 years. And my mom knew about it because she was not a willing participant, and I always say that. But my mom knew about it because she would like prepare my body for my father, meaning like she would clean me and then give me to my father, or he would have already violated me and then she would like clean me up or wash me up. So
now let's go back. You said she was not a willing participant.
Correct.
Now, we're just people. It's no judgment, just realness. But we start with no judgment, right? Because Lynn has told me her testimony. She's told this before, so she knows where I'm coming from with these questions and how I am about mothers and parents who allow this and know. How was she not willing if she cleaned you up and prepared you for this, to be sexually abused?
Correct. That's a great question because I know a lot of people are saying like, how is that possible if she actually did the cleaning? Yeah. So my mom actually was terrified of my father. So I grew up in a house that was filled with domestic violence. And he would beat her almost every day. And he tried to take her life on several occasions. So she felt like she had no option. Like she felt like she had no voice. Like I just have to do this because is he gonna kill me? Is he gonna kill my baby? Like I don't know. And so that's why I said she was a not willing participant.
Okay. And I say that because she was broken.
Absolutely.
But and see, and people, I say this show is no judgment, just realness for a reason, because those of us who have not been sexually abused,
Mm-hmm.
who we're saying, well, how could she? It's easy for us to point the finger. It doesn't excuse mom, but it gives us some understanding. Because if Lynn is saying, I have forgiven mama,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, Lynn, people sometime on the outside looking in, and I myself was one of those people. How could the mother do that? I don't care how broken she was. No, talking to you survivors, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I may not, I still may have some emotions about it.
Yeah.
But hearing you all share your testimony about how, it can change our hearts to start to pray for the mothers who allowed that, the fathers who allowed that. So Go ahead. I just have to interject with that. Go ahead.
So yeah, so that's what it looked like. So it started when I was around like 1.5, and it stopped when I was in 3rd grade. So that was 7 years.
Yeah.
And again, I have forgiven my mom. My dad passed away, but I forgave him before he passed away. But it being in a situation of there's no sense of security. There's no one protecting you. There's no one looking out for you. There's no one loving you that way. Like, that was very hard for me to grow up. Like, I didn't trust people. It was just very difficult because all I knew was disappointment, or all I knew was violation, or just being told to shut up. Like, I didn't know anything outside of negativity or things that would crush my spirit or break me down. And so it was very hard to grow up in that household.
Okay, so did you were you an only child? Did you have siblings?
I have siblings, and I'm the youngest of 7.
Okay. Were you the only one it happened to?
Well, I just found out several years ago, about 4 years ago, that it happened to my sister, and she's now starting to get counseling and help for that as well. And she told me, because I told her, but I thought I was the only one.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And why the predator? Now, do you say perpetrator? I say predator. Is that the correct term I should be using? Predator,
well,
perpetrator?
For me, it doesn't offend me. I see them both as interchangeably. So
yeah,
you can use either or for me.
And he chose just you and your sister.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. It's and you know what? I've even talked to therapists and counselors, and maybe you can weigh in on this, Lynn. Was your dad sexually abused? What was his background?
So the background of my father, I'm just learning more and more about my dad since he has passed away. Now, I did know this before he passed away. My dad grew up in a very awful, non-loving home. His biological mom left him and said, I can't take you because my new husband doesn't want children. So you guys have to stay here with grandma. So he grew up with not having a mom, or a mom not choosing him. And so, which made him then, as he grew up, not even respecting women, not being loved. Like, my dad wanted to be loved so much, but he didn't know how because his parents didn't love him. And then, like I said, his mom left him. So he was just like, well, then I'm just not going to respect women, which is how it showed up in our household, because you could tell he wanted to love us. You really could tell that. And even though he sexually abused me, I knew my father wanted to love his family. He just didn't know how to love his family because he was never taught. And so, yeah, it was just a very difficult, sad situation to be in. So that was his background. Like, he grew up with pretty much taking care of himself since he was 5 years old. No guidance. So yeah, he didn't know how to do anything really.
But we have to, and look, people, it's no judgment, just realness. Again. So, but it's interesting, and I was interviewing a therapist, Lynn, and you can weigh in on this. Why is it that some people, who were abused, sexually abused, came from a broken home, they can grow up and be wonderful parents, loving parents, protective parents, and then some can't break the curse? In your experience, research, what have you found? And her answer was, I can't explain it. Sometimes it's somebody positive in their path, but sometimes, even though, Lynn, and she said, I can't explain it. What do you say to that?
Well, I'm going to try to explain it in the way that I understand. There are people that I know that have been violated with sexual abuse or any other type of trauma, and they grew up to be just like their parents. For me, I talk to my sister a lot because she's like my sounding board. And we discuss this about our children. And I said, one thing I do not want my children to be sad or to go through anything I went through. I said, now I know I can't protect them from the world or everything. I said, but what happened to me, or how I thought about certain situations, I will make sure they don't have to worry about that. Or like, I want them to understand that mommy loves them, you know, so I tell them I love them. I hug on them. I laugh and joke with them. I actually allow them to ask me questions. I never had any of that from my parents. So the things that I did not get when I was growing up, I want to make sure that they do receive it, because it's a beautiful thing when I see my husband with my daughters. Yeah. We have sons too, but I'm just going to talk about daughters right now. It's a beautiful thing that my daughters have an amazing dad.
Amen.
And I didn't have that growing up. So when I look at that, there's no jealousy. There's not like, oh, I wish no, it's more like, thank you, Lord. Yes. My daughters get to experience that. Yes. I didn't have that, but they have it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So that's how I would try to answer that. Now, I don't think that the people that don't, I don't know, not become positive parents or whatever you want to say. Yeah. I think they're just really struggling, and it's just so hard and they don't know how. But I made sure that to understand that this was my responsibility, that my children wouldn't go through what I went through.
But let's talk about that process, because it wasn't overnight. Oh, okay, I woke up one day, the healing took place. For you to be standing here, sitting here with us today, because you could have been attracted to a man like your mother was attracted to, because many times we see women are attracted to the men, you know, they grew up around, right? Even though daddy was abusive, they marry the abuser until they realize, right? So you could have married a predator, a perpetrator, right? Yeah. And then we both been part of the Survivors with Voices conference and heard just the stories about how these mothers took their children to stay with the grandfather, knowing the grandfather molested them when they were younger. Why would you allow him to babysit? Because you broken, right? So let's talk about the process of healing. What was because everybody's process is different. So what was the moment? So here you are, 7 years old. 7 years old. How many years after it stopped were you just walking in brokenness when you made the choice, I need healing?
I actually want to say this before I answer it. Okay. So when I go back and I think about my children, I say this to myself. Well, I said this to myself before I got married. I said, I get to choose my husband.
Oh, yes.
My children don't get to choose a father.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that not only was he a good man to me, but he was going to be a good man to these children.
That's right.
You know, that we didn't have at the time. But that's I just wanted to say that. Okay, so what it looked like for me, because I was in third grade, so I was 8 years old. But I was in third grade, and I felt like things needed to change. Not only was he a good man. I felt like also that I wanted to change, but I didn't know how to change. But I would say it was 2002 is when I actually started my healing journey.
Oh, wow.
So that's a lot of years. I think I was like 27. I don't know. Anyway, but those years in between, I knew I wanted change, but I don't know if I was strong enough or I wasn't willing. I don't know what it was, but I knew when 2002 hit, that's when I decided. Now everybody might be saying, well, what happened then? Well, real quick though, because of the relationship I have with the Lord, you know how he understands his children, and he understands maybe you need to talk to such and such, or maybe grandma needs to pray for you, or maybe this or maybe that. So I was disobedient, and he had all those people do all those things for me. And then he finally said, you know what? I know her. I got to show her. So I'm a visual person. Yeah. So he showed me literally in my living room, in my apartment. I'll never forget it. In my apartment, he showed me hell. He showed me graphics and things that in my mind, I would think it was hell, because I saw people screaming, crying. it was awful. And it's hard for me to explain it. And then the very last thing that really like put, as I say, the nail in the coffin, I felt his hands do this. Like,
Oh, wow.
I'm done with you. And I was like, oh my God. And that's the one thing that woke me up. And I said, please don't leave me, Lord. Please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. And that started my healing journey because I was
Wow.
terrified. And then I also knew that I wasn't living.
Mm.
So that's when it actually started
Mm.
many years later.
Wow. People, I want you to understand, and those who are listening as well, thank you, who are listening online and through the app. You know, Lynn, it's a process. You said 2002. So here you are, 7 to 27, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just walking as a broken woman, as a bruised woman, right? Were you were you always saved, or did you come to meet the Lord later on in life, or did you grow up in a Christian? Christian.
I did. I grew up. Yeah, that's one thing. I think that's one thing that really kept my mom and myself as sane as we could be in a household like that.
Okay.
I was baptized when I was 9 years old, and I was baptized because I wanted to live for Jesus.
So
I remember
after the abuse stopped.
Correct.
Okay.
It was after the abuse, but I knew there was a purpose on my life at 9 years old.
Wow.
And I couldn't explain it. And I remember telling my mom, I said, I need to live for the Lord. I'm supposed to live for the Lord, with tears streaming down my face. And she was like, what's going on? Are you okay? But I was like, I'm fine. I just want to live for the Lord. I want to get baptized. I want to be with Jesus.
Yes.
And so that's where it started.
So, my God, you know, Lynn, some can turn to drugs, some can turn to, what were some of the things? And then, you know, we have to be careful about how we look at people. That little 14-year-old girl, ooh, she's a tramp, she's loose. She could be getting sexually abused at home. You don't know.
You don't know.
And how do you know the baby she's carrying isn't the stepdaddy or the daddy who raped her? People, let's be real about it. We want to make judgment. Oh, she's got another boyfriend. She's 25, sleeping around. You don't know what she's doing, drugs. You don't know what burdens these people in brokenness they're carrying. What are some of the things you dealt with?
Yeah, all of that.
Was it promiscuity? Was it drugs?
No, let me tell you, I'm so open. I'm so glad we have this conversation. Because people need to understand where I was to where I am now. I was very promiscuous.
Yeah.
Extremely. And that was pretty much nothing you had to do for me to give you my body. Yeah. Because I was looking for love. Like, you know, they said looking for love in all the wrong places. That was wrong. Yeah. It's so true, because anybody that would say hello to me or be nice to me, in my brain, I was like, I'm going to give him my body. Oh, and not just him, her too. I slept with women. I slept with men. I did not care. I am not ashamed of that. That was something that I was going through because I was hurting.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I understand that's what that was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would try to drink. I would try, because I come from a family of alcoholics, and my body rejects alcohol. Like, it doesn't like it, but I still tried to drink. Yeah. I was in college drinking, sick, didn't care, would try to drink the next day. So it was like very poor choices that I was making. So yeah, I would do that stuff too. I sure did.
And let me interject this, people. I share this on my Facebook Live, but I'll share it here since Lynn is sharing. We're not going to hear hers and not mine. I wasn't sexually abused, but I was fornicating. I was looking for love in all the wrong places. It wasn't sexual abuse. But if you don't deal with your stuff, right? Correct. It can happen. So I've been there, Lynn. Yeah. And thanks be to God. The drink, done it all, girl, and could have, didn't care. Didn't care because I didn't truly love myself. Saved it, and just because I was saved in the 3rd grade, but man, thank God for a relationship, right? With
exactly.
And thank God, isn't it a beautiful thing that even in the midst, even though it's not our fault, right? Some of the stuff, we still have to accept responsibility for our response to things, to hurt, to pain. But isn't it amazing how he protects us even in the midst? Because Lynn, we could be on crack, we could be dead. Yeah. We could be, it's just so many things people are dealing with.
I think about that all the time.
Oh, yeah. Talk about, so fornication, drugs, all of that. When did you say, you know what? And thank you for sharing that about how God spoke to you. But it's not like you woke up overnight and said, okay, and I'm going to stop drinking and stop fornicating. No, you're still dealing with some hurt. So how did your healing process look?
So I went to therapy. I've always been introduced to therapy. I was kind of like voluntold when I was younger, but when I became a teenager, I was like, oh, I think I want to go. And I really started going when I became an adult, because so that was part of it, knowing that I needed to talk to someone. And talking to a therapist, especially when you have a really good therapist.
Yes.
I've been so blessed to get great therapists in my life. So being able to process that, deal with that, learn that it's not my fault, understand that my emotions and feelings are not bad, or, so just understanding that, and just being able to, just like you said, take responsibility of my healing.
Isn't that hard to say, though? Isn't that hard, though? Like, but it's not your fault. You kind of want to say, but the reason why she's doing this is because they hurt her, right?
Correct.
So it's their fault. If they hadn't hurt her, she wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
But how did you get, and thank you for sharing about therapy, because how did the therapist, and you don't have to go, of course, private sessions, right? But because there's somebody out there saying, but they hurt me, so I deserve to do this. It's okay that, I can't help. How did you say, you know what, even though they hurt me, he was wrong, mama wasn't there, I have to accept responsibility for my response.
And I think that's the thing. Even though people say that, like, it wasn't my fault or whatever, I always said, even as a child, I was saying that when I was like 5 years old, I'm like, I know I'm not responsible for this. I was so wise as a little person, and I knew it never was my fault. So I never said it was my fault. But I did realize what happened to me was not my fault, but it was my responsibility to heal. So that's what I was saying. So even with all of that going on, I didn't ever feel like extremely bitter towards them, because I knew they were wrong, and what happened to me was awful. But I didn't feel so bitter to where I was just like, oh no, I'm never going to heal. Even though we through all those years of doing whatever, I knew one day that I was going to be healed. And that's why I call myself the HRT coach. I knew I was going to be healed, restored, and transformed. I knew that. I just didn't know when.
Amen. And Joyce Meyer, if you know who Joyce Meyer is, and you may know her testimony, Lynn, she can count. She said, my father raped me at least 200 times.
Oh God,
at least. I know. And do you know her testimony?
Yes.
Yeah. And so if you don't know, Mama Joyce, this bold woman of God, you see preaching, she grew up in her father was abusive sexually. She talks about it. Mother did nothing about it, because her mother, of course, like your mother, Lynn, and many mothers and parents, they're not strong. And they were broken. But she said the sexual abuse wasn't just every now and then. It was constant all the time. And to see where she was, and she talks about her healing process. So brothers and sisters, look what God can do with you.
Yeah.
Look what God is doing with Lynn. My God, Lynn, now, we've talked before. I've talked with other survivors about signs, things like that. You mentioned before, though, you were an overachiever. It's not always the being promiscuous, and she's developing fast. You said you were an overachiever, and sometimes that can be a sign that a child is being abused.
Yeah. It is, because people think acting out has to be a negative behavior, or they think acting out are tantrums. No. It's something that's totally different from how your child has acted, or how your child has, your child's temperament and their personality. If they're doing something different, ask questions. And I don't want to say, oh, your child's being abused. I'm not saying that. But if your child, maybe, because for me, I was very quiet and this and this and this. But when I started being abused, I started being very active and getting in things, and I excelled academically, and I was in track, and I was like, I excelled everywhere I went. I had medals all over the house and trophies like I did. But no one saw that was different. Like all the teachers, like, she's such a good student. No, I'm hurting.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't know that, because me being such a good student, that means they didn't have to worry about me.
And let's be honest, all teachers are not therapists, counselors. They're not trained for that.
True.
But I'm glad you said that. And Lynn, you touched on something. You said, I'm not saying your child's being abused, but no, you need to hear what she's saying, people.
Exactly.
Because we're not saying that, but she's saying don't ignore the signs. And see, a lot of people, you want to be in denial. She's telling you what's going on, so you need to open your eyes.
Yes.
That's what she's telling you.
Please.
Please. She's not saying your child's being abused, but wouldn't you want to know? So we can't hide our head in the sand. So for you, it was overachieving, getting awards.
Overachieving for me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to just like thrust myself into something. Like I wanted to escape my life so badly that I knew I had to get involved with everything. Because I knew my parents wouldn't say no.
Yeah.
And I could just be away from the house.
Oh, wow. And that was part of you feeling protected. Like, if I'm not at home, then I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
It's fine. I think you were going with something I probably have said. I don't want to be at home. I want to be protected. I don't want to be around these people. Like, I feel more safe when I'm out of this house.
Yeah. You know what? That is so powerful, what you said. Being in several activities. Maybe that child's like, I don't want to be at home. My goodness. And I'm sure you dealt with a lot, because kids can be so cruel. Oh, she's a smarty pants. She's working hard so she don't have to be in that abusive house.
Yeah.
My goodness. But Lynn, look, now, is the healing process ever truly over?
Not for me.
Yeah. It's a lifetime thing, because is this conversation triggering?
Yeah.
For you right now? Because
no, not at all.
Oh,
not
okay.
at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
Sometimes it can be triggering, but today it's not. And actually, most times it's not triggering.
Okay.
Unless there is like a mom or a person that has connected as I'm speaking, and like I can see that it's happening to them. Like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. And then I may get triggered. I'm like, oh yeah, I feel that. I feel that energy. But it's usually not triggering for me.
Now, your mom, where is she in her? Has she faced it? Has she said, I'm sorry? Has she said, I know it happened and I did nothing about it? I'm broken. Has she got therapy?
My mom never went to therapy, but she did ask me to talk to her.
Okay.
And we got to the point where she apologized.
Okay.
And I just said everything I needed to say to her.
Yeah.
I wasn't nasty. I wasn't rude. I wasn't disrespectful. I just shared my true feelings. And she cried and I cried. And she was like, I just didn't know what to do. And I looked at her and I said, I know. I really do know. I said, it doesn't mean that I still didn't feel like you still should have protected me. I said, but I understand. Like, I really do. So we got to the place where we were able to have that conversation. And that's where the forgiveness started.
But that's where therapy, now look, she said she's a Christian and we love the Lord, but there are angels on this earth, people, to help you, whether it's one-on-one therapy, counseling, whether it's maybe support group is best for you. Whatever it is, your again, that's why I asked Lynn, what is your healing process?
Yeah.
But Lynn, that's why the therapy is so important, because maybe you would have never had the power to say, this is what I felt.
I agree. I don't think I would have been ever able to say that. I really don't. I really don't, because again, at that time, I didn't feel like I had a voice. So I was like, I got to go talk to somebody so somebody will listen to me. And then when I was able to talk to that person and they didn't judge me, and they understood me, and then I was like, oh, I have a voice. Like, I can use this. And so,
But how you said it too. Because the therapist, I'm sure, and you know, that's why it's important you go to a therapist, counselor, coach. You know, I am a certified life coach, but for deep rooted issues, and I have my referral list. You need therapy and counseling, people, because it is deep rooted, and I'm the first one that'll say that. Sometimes I like to have the survivors on, but if we're getting deep rooted, I like to have my doctors on who are experienced and therapists in that area, because you don't go to if they deal with divorce and you've been sexually abused, you need to go to someone who specializes in that. And that's very important. Or grief, you know, what have you. You need to make sure they're specialized in that. But Lynn, is the process, so the process is never over. So if 5 years you need to go, you need to go.
You need to go. Like I'm back in therapy now. And I'm okay with that. I'm back in therapy. My mom has dementia. It just did something to me. It was just, I was just like, I can't handle it. I feel like I'm it. So I got back into therapy, and I'm okay with that. And I would tell my clients, I said, all providers or all specialists need that. I said, a dentist is going to need a dentist. A surgeon is not going to operate on him or herself. So all these people are going to need who they are. I said, and therapists go to therapy. And so it's just, I don't know. Therapy was the best thing. I know. Actually, let me say it like this. Therapy saved my life.
Oh, that's good.
And that's how I'm going to say it.
And that's good. And I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
But talk about the importance, though, Lynn. And this is what I want, because sometimes people need to understand, therapists, counselors, coaches, all that. And you're an HRT coach. We are human. Every coach, therapist, counselor has their personality. Just because your personality didn't connect with theirs doesn't mean they're not a good therapist, counselor.
Correct.
You need to go to another one.
You do.
One, right? So talk about that. Maybe they weren't the therapist for you. You need to go to another one.
Yeah. And so that's the thing.
Keep trying.
I think when people do that, it's because they really don't want to go to therapy anyway. Because when you have let's just look at it like this. Most people have driven a car before. Just because one car breaks down, or if you go test drive one car, if you really want to buy a car, you're not going to just test drive that one car and be like, oh, that's okay. I don't want to test drive.
That's right.
You're not going to do that. You're going to keep going, and you're going to keep looking, and you're going to say, oh, well, what about this car? And I'm looking at this. And so when people say, oh, therapy didn't work, well, tell me what happened. Oh, we didn't mesh. How many times did you go? Oh, just that one time. Well, no, that's not how it works. Keep going, interview that person, see if you get along. If you don't, then find somebody different. Because you're going to find somebody that's going to be your person. You really will.
Or when the hard work starts.
Yes.
Or when they start asking you the questions, and you don't, they weren't, okay, but you had 4 sessions, and now why all of a sudden? Because you're going to have to face some ugly. That's just what it is. But I'm glad you said that. So anybody thinking, well, I need therapy again, there's nothing wrong with that. Go back. Keep going. Maybe the holidays is coming up. That may trigger some things.
That does trigger a lot of people.
And grief or sexual abuse. Everybody's Christmas wasn't merry. You know, so Christmas may trigger some things for you. You need to be proactive, people, not reactive.
Right.
Now, Lynn, forgiveness. How has forgiveness helped you walk in peace, though?
That has been the best thing.
Did you tell your dad before he passed, I forgive you?
No, I didn't. So I didn't tell my dad. What I went into you know what? My light is getting really dark. I need to.
Oh, no problem.
I need to give some light. Hold on.
It's no judgment, just realness.
I did not tell my dad. I didn't tell my dad. Ooh, let's see. Is that better? Yeah, that's better.
Fine.
I didn't tell him because what happened? I think it was at the point where I didn't think he was going to be receptive. And I said, then I'm not even going to talk to him, because I'm not going to let him saying that didn't happen like this or whatever, or him not validating or being accepting. to stop my healing. So I was like, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's important to say. Sometimes you do need to tell the parent if that's what, like you told your mom, right? But people, that's why therapy and counseling is important, because if you felt like, well, I'm going to say it anyway, the therapist is going to say, be prepared. If they're in denial, don't get your, even on their deathbed, they may not admit it, right?
That's right.
So I just, we had to touch on that because the parent won't always acknowledge it.
No, they won't. And so my healing, even though it happened to me many years ago, it started 48 years ago. And I'm still healing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to heal because I'm going to allow myself to let other things break off, fall off. Let me just not deal with those things anymore. But I want to be able to understand whatever I'm going through. I don't need to push through. Like, I don't like when people say push through.
Yeah.
I'm not going to just push through. I'm not going to just fake it till you make it. I'm not doing that anymore. Like, if I'm hurt, I'm hurt.
Yes.
And I'm going to get help from whomever that can help me. Yeah. And so, this is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm glad I married the person that I did marry, because he understands that even when I'm going through what I'm going through, he understands it's not him.
Yeah.
You know,
even when you're having those days, he understands it's not me. Even she doesn't want to be intimate right now. It's not personal. It's not me. Right.
Right.
Or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. Absolutely. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
That's right. I say that to him all the time. But for me, my healing journey will be until the day that I die.
Wow. How long have you been married?
People always say that. I always got to say,
you know what? A long time. If you got to say, a long, and you know it's love. Oh, girl, we've been so long. I don't know.
It is so funny. It is so funny. Because he's so sentimental. He can be like, like he remembers anniversaries, this date, the first date. I'm like, I don't remember that. Like,
if you have to look up in the air, you be like, a long time.
Right. I always gotta do it like when how old our son is. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
That's what I have to do.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's love. That's love.
Awful. That's awful. I'm gonna turn around so you can see me better. Okay.
Okay, we can see. But when you look up in the air, girl, it's been a long time. So that's good. Y'all been in this thing a long time.
Yeah.
Now, Lynn, let's talk about, because what do you say to the community? And I'm talking about friends. Oh, girl, let's go to brunch and let's go shopping. That's not gonna do it. How should we deal with our friends, or what is a way we can support our friends, the community? What should we be doing for survivors of sexual abuse? What have you seen we have not done as a community? Friends,
for me,
all of that.
Yeah. For me, my response is going to be so simple.
Okay.
Because this has been one thing that I feel like society and all of us have not done. If we normalize emotional healing, we normalize physical healing all the time.
Yeah.
I talk about it all the time. People give you sympathy. Oh, you broke your leg. Oh my gosh, you have a broken arm. Oh my God. All of that. When are you going to do this? Do you have to get therapy? You're going to physical, like, they're so concerned.
Yeah.
But the minute I say I have a broken heart, they're like, well, good luck with that. Get over it. Like, if we normalize emotional healing, we could be there for that person. We can understand. I made a post about this before. I said, there was emotional pain has hurt me more than physical pain has ever in my life.
Wow.
Ever in my life. And I got so many comments, people like, yes, that's so true. That's so true. This pain from a breakup, or like, they were just pouring out their hearts about how they have been hurt emotionally.
Yeah.
This one woman said, I've had like open heart surgery or some type of like major surgery. She said that never hurt me as much as another relationship or somebody hurt her. I was like, this is
wow.
So I feel like the way I answer that is, if we would normalize the fact that people are hurting emotionally and it's a real thing, we could really do some good. Like that could be our support. That could be our community. If
And
we
you
did
know
that.
what? Even if you don't know, some people don't know what to say, so
Yeah.
they're uncomfortable. But people, we see that we are in a fallen world. We see it's people of low emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you're stupid. Look up what emotional intelligence is. It means
It
people who
doesn't.
cannot handle their emotions. We see all these things. So we need some
Correct.
empathy. We need to, if
Yeah.
Lynn says it, don't be, because you're uncomfortable, then maybe you need to say, well, what happened? Well, I don't
Hmm.
understand this.
That's right.
What does that mean, Lynn? Be understanding.
Hmm.
Be understanding. Well, girl, you have a husband and kids. Everything's good. No. And then sometimes, don't you think we need to ask people how they're doing? We tell people how they're doing. Oh, Lynn, I know you're doing good. I just saw you spoke at the. No, say,
Yeah.
Lynn, how are you doing?
Yeah, that's right.
How are you doing?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say that all the time. Like, I try not to be a therapist everywhere I go. And I laugh at that because that's just the gift God gave me, to be caring and be understanding to people.
Yeah.
And so I can be talking to somebody that's like wanting to strike up a conversation with me in produce, and we can be talking about whatever. And then I'll say, well, how are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I'm like, girl, how are you today?
Yeah.
And then she'll go into like, oh my God, oh yes, so it's just like, if we would just, I don't know, like you said, the empathy and sympathy, that's what we need. We need that.
And you know what? That's how we can bring people to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things and the struggles can be, well, how do we talk to people about Jesus? Do we just say, do you know the Lord? And there are some times when I've just said that, but you have given us another open door. Just start with, how are you today?
Mm-hmm.
And if they say, oh, then you'll be surprised how people will just tell all their business because they want to talk to somebody.
Do.
Then that will open the conversation to, do you know God, or
Exactly.
what church do you go to? That's good. Just saying, how are you? Because nobody says that anymore.
Yeah, right? No one says that. You're right. No one says that anymore. It's awful.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
Now,
so yeah, the healing journey is going to be forever for me, I would say. And it's good. It's necessary.
That's powerful. Let's normalize emotional healing. Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Now, we have to talk about this.
Okay.
People mean well, but what should we not be saying?
Okay, so yeah. What we should not be saying is pretty much like when people lose a loved one and they say, oh, he's in a better place. Let's not say that. Like, oh, at least that's not happening anymore. Or you got away from that. Or that happened so long ago. I know it shouldn't affect you now. Or why are you still talking about, like, those things? Don't say that.
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
That is to me is so detrimental. Like, don't say that. Because to me, in my head, even if you don't mean, you're not trying to be mean or nasty, whatever. If you feel like you're getting ready to say those things, just be quiet. Or just say, I'm just here to listen or to understand. That's it.
That's good. Or we love to say, especially Black Baptist, well, one door closes, the window. No, if somebody's been sexually abused, that's not, well, one door open. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know, and these, and I don't even, that's not even in the Bible. So we say these phrases. Oh, they big mama is no big. Well, all that kind of stuff. We love to say these things, and they're smiling down from heaven. No, nobody's up there yet.
Exactly.
No, and we mean well. And I've even said, oh, I know, and I'm like, the really reality is they're not up there smiling.
Yeah, they're not.
They're just like Rick Warren says, if somebody's in grief, show up and shut up.
That's
what he said. Or what do you need, Lynn? What do you need, girl? I don't, yeah. So
I say that all the time. Yeah. When I'm around people that have dealt with sexual abuse or any type of trauma or have lost a loved one, because that's trauma too, I say, I'm here.
That's good.
And I just sit down or I'm in the room with them, and that's all I do.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know what I do? I have the list of reputable counselors, therapists, and sometimes, I'll say, if you need it, let me know. I don't push
Yeah.
them. Or sometimes I said, you know what, I'm going to send it to you anyway, if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
That way you have it when you need it.
That's
and
right.
many people are okay with that, because the truth is, so let me go ahead and give this to you, but I don't force it down your throat, and you need to know, here it is if you need it.
Yeah.
And just to say, I'm here. And I think, because isn't it a dangerous thing though, Lynn, when people want you to heal before you're ready?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Talk about
It's
that.
dangerous. And people do that all the time. And the reason why they do that, and people can call in and talk about it, and anybody, I'll let anybody debate me on it. People do that because that makes them uncomfortable. It's like, you're not over that yet. Come on, get over that. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I don't want you talking about it anymore. Don't bring that up anymore. So they do that because it makes them uncomfortable, and they don't know how to sit in it. And I will say it to the day I die. I believe that's the reason why people say that. I really do.
Now let's talk about social media. We see, child predators don't even need to go to child porn websites. If you go to Instagram, it's amazing. You're sharing intimate moments, your child in the bathtub, even though you'll use the emojis to cover up private parts. It's your section, or when we see our little girls, parents dressing their little girls up with halter tops on, with lip gloss, making them look grown. What do you say to in the bathtub?
Yeah.
Because I had a detective, she worked in sex crimes, and she says, what you don't understand is these people, predators, are looking, and they're sexually gratifying themselves by looking at your children.
Right.
They are sexually gratifying themselves from the picture of your little 2-year-old. And it's a scary thing when 10,000 people like your child's photo. Isn't that scary?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you say to parents who are exposing their children on social media? Because it's hard. I mean, I'm sure you are.
I know we are proud. We're very proud of our children.
Yes,
and I do share my children every now and then. You will not see me share my children all the time. I will not. But when I do share my children, and it doesn't matter, because like a predator, or perpetrator, it doesn't matter if the child is fully clothed or not. It doesn't matter. But one thing I do make sure is that my children are fully clothed.
Yes.
And they're not exposed, like their body parts are not exposed, like their legs are not open. Like I think about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And or like I'll just have them doing something silly or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of parents look at that. I just think they're like, oh, my children are beautiful, and your children are beautiful. But there are people out there that are wicked and evil, and they prey on your children. And so I just say, don't share them as often, or if you do share them, make sure that they're not in the bathtub, or they're not in, like, just some of those things that you can just try to keep your children safe from. And that's what I would say about that.
And I was about to say something, but we call this show It's No Judgment, Just Realness. So I would be judging. Or let me say this, and it's not what I say, but how I say it. So I'm gonna say it in a more loving way. Is it that serious for your child to be famous that you are willing to put them in a place where they are exposed? That's all I'm gonna say, parents.
Yeah.
What is the motive behind? Is it to make them? Are you so? What are your motives? If you're sharing to share, that's fine. But like Lynn said, but if you are trying to make your child famous, there will be a price you might have to pay for that.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to say it, and hopefully that was in a more loving way.
I think that was pretty loving. I do.
Sometime the motive is you want your child to be famous, but is it worth it? Right. Just think about it, parents. Is it worth it?
Is it worth
because
it?
There are predators, and I've seen some comments. I'm like, who is this? This is where someone had made a comment on someone's, their cute little child, and they said, "Oh, does he have a daddy? I'd like to be his daddy." That's sick. I don't know. Something about it's just, and when you're liking a photo of Why are you I don't understand. And even when I see kids, on Instagram, it'll pop up. I press uninterested because I don't want to see that. I don't need to look at pictures of people's kids. I think it's cute. If I know I'm fine.
Yeah.
But all this, I'm not, I don't need to see that. And it's something's not right. And I even had a friend, and it was some threats made about sexual assault against his young child, and the mother. People out there, everybody out there, like Lynn said, it's some wicked people.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful, and it's nothing to find out where anybody is. Everybody's posting, hey, I'll be here. It's nothing for someone who's sick to show up and try to. Amber alerts all the time. I mean, Lynn, so I just say that in a loving way, parents.
Yes.
Don't going for fame. Is it going to be worth it? Just be careful. Yeah. Lynn is telling you, we're telling you, predators are out there. Protect your children. Yeah. Protect your children. We had to touch on that because we didn't get to touch on the social media question last time. Yeah. Yeah. But I had to, it's Mama, Mama would take a picture of us. Yeah. With your little behind hanging out, but she had that in the photo album, and she would show that when people came over, certain people, if that, or in the bikini when you're little. But not for the world to see. And I don't know, is it the world we live in, or parents younger, or really God is not at the center? I don't know because you have Christian parents doing it. And not to say it's bad putting your child on social media. That's not what we're saying. But when it's overexposure, and we need God at the center. But that's where it takes a village. But let's pray and not judge. That's why I say I'm not going to judge. I just pray for parents, and let's pray for our parents and not condemn them. And forgive me for that if I offended anyone, but I had to just speak the truth on that, because our children, Lynn is telling you, she was sexually abused. You could be exposing your child to that, and don't even a predator. So be careful what you post on social media, people.
That's right.
Lynn, do you have a special discernment when you can see when someone may be broken? When someone looks good, but do you have that discernment when you can tell someone's been sexually abused, even though they look polished? Oh, you have it.
I do. Yeah. Every single person that that was my client or is my client, they didn't tell me. I knew. And then they came out and they told me.
Wow.
And I would say to them, thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I know that was difficult, whatever I would say. And I said, if there's something about what you said or this or that, and I said, made me think that this happened to you. Now, I don't ever say, oh, I knew that happened to you, because I think that may come off wrong. But I would say, like, you said something which made me think. But every single time I say that, I'm accurate.
But as a good coach, you waited.
Yeah.
And then you reveal, right? So that's good. Now, and I even had a sister, Lynn. She is a survivor of sexual abuse, and she says she was even in the store and she knew a little girl was being abused. She had that kind of discernment where she felt it was some. Do you ever have that?
I do.
I mean, what can you do? What do you
honestly, do? I can.
That's a lot. Like, do you tell the mother?
God, when God gives you a gift, it's a gift. Because I remember when He revealed that this would be something that I could do, and I prayed for it. I was like, please take it away. I don't want it.
Wow.
Because I didn't want to be that connected to people. Now I understand that's something that I'm supposed to, do. But I can feel like in the stores, I can feel like if someone is in the elevator with me, I can feel like it's so strange. I wish I could explain it in a way where it makes sense. Like, I can be in a room full of people and I can feel like, oh, such and such right there.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I see that. Oh yeah.
Or do you see when someone is an abuser? Can you see when someone is the abuser? This family that looks so great and polished and put together. Can you sometimes see, you know what? He's an abuser or she's an abuser. 'Cause, 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 'cause Oh, she froze up on us, y'all. But yeah, brothers and sisters, and she'll be back in a minute. But if you do want to call in before we finish this segment, I tell you, very, very people, it's so sad what is going on. So sad what is going on. But let me say this while Lynn comes back, because she's frozen up on us a little. And she'll be back in a minute. But as I always say, email me at thedrdawn@gmail.com. I have a list of reputable, credible counselors and therapists, and I will be glad to refer that to you. That is absolutely confidential, brothers and sisters. Absolutely confidential. So, but yes, Lynn. Yeah. So can you see when someone is an abuser?
Yes, I can feel that.
Yeah.
I can definitely feel that.
Man or woman, because the family looks so perfect in the front row, everything looks great, and you can say he's abusing those kids.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that.
Wow. Wow.
And so when I see that, that's usually when I go to the person or say if there's anything I can do. Because usually when I see that or I feel that, I just start talking to the person. Okay. You know, like if it's a mom or whatever, I just go up and I just like, you know what, I need to say something. And I just start talking to them, let them get comfortable. And I'm like, well, if ever anything, you know, and then I just say whatever. And they're like, oh my God, like, how do you know?
Yeah. That's good. But like you said,
because that didn't happen to my family, and that should have happened to my family, but it didn't. So, and it's okay that it didn't, but I know that's my assignment, to be the person that I needed to be when I was younger. So,
but like you said, Lynn, all you can say is I'm here, because you never know, 6 months, 3 months from then, they could be like, I remember that lady. Yeah. Now let's talk, before we end this segment, let's talk about a survivor, because the thing is, every survivor you are not called to write a book. It doesn't, every survivor is not called to get on Facebook Live and to be a HRT coach and to publicly speak about it. It doesn't make you any less healed. Right. But talk about other ways they can make a difference. You don't always have to come out with it in a book. God may not have called you to do that. You have healed privately, and that's okay. Maybe you're meant to share it with your youth group as you teach Sunday school. I don't know. But talk about how survivors can make a difference.
Yeah. And I was going to say something like that. Like, maybe you're the person that goes and volunteers at the shelters, or donates money, or like make blankets, bake cookies. Like, you don't have to be in the limelight or on stage.
That's right.
There's a lot of backstage things that happen. Like, if you ever been part of a production, you know, those of us that, you know, perform, there's so much going on in that backstage that if we didn't have those people, you wouldn't see us on stage.
Come on now.
You know, all the custom chains, the music, the lighting, the like, is that. So yes, if you don't want to be noticed, then you can go and you can do those type of things.
That's okay.
Things can be anonymous. You can go, and I'm telling you, like, 2 ladies that grew up with my niece talked to me about this. I had no idea that they had experienced some of this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, this cannot happen.
Yeah.
And they said they're not ready. I said, you don't have to do what I'm doing.
That's right.
I don't want you to do what I'm doing unless that's something you want to do.
That's right.
You can help in other ways. Like, you can go and just be available.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
You can go and just. What song was that?
That's Damien. I mean, that's Skip Marley and her.
Oh, okay.
But you can just help in other ways.
Yeah.
Like, you can call a facility or an organization and ask them, I don't want to be noticed. But I want to help. You don't even have to tell them your story. You don't have to say, I'm a survivor too. You don't have to say that. You can just say, in what ways can I help?
That's right.
And
That's
then you
good.
can do it that way.
That's good. Don't you write that book. Somebody else is writing a book, or they say, hey, I'm doing a co-author collaboration. You need to share your story. No. God didn't tell you to do that. It doesn't make you any less healed.
Exactly.
Doesn't make you any less healed if you're not ready to share your testimony.
That's right.
God will lead you to that. And I have to say that, people, everybody's not, because once it's in print, you better get ready. Are you ready for family who's going to turn their back on you? Are you ready? Now, look, your truth is your truth, and nobody can touch you if you know it's true. But if you're not prepared, right, Lynn, the spotlight is real.
That's right. It is.
But everybody's not called to write a book about it. It doesn't make you any less healed, and it doesn't make you any less of a Christian or any less. Don't worry about all that. So I just had to say that, Lynn. What is your favorite scripture verse before we let you go in this season? What is your favorite scripture verse that keeps you strong?
So that's the thing. I can never just remember everything. I know it's in Jeremiah.
Oh yeah, that's okay.
And it goes like this: I'm God of all flesh. Is anything too hard for me? And I know I made it this short. But when I think about that, because as I heal through different things in my areas of my life, and things come up and they may seem overbearing and overwhelming, and I'm like, I can't handle that. Oh my God. That scripture comes to me every single time. Wow. And it reminds me how much God loves me. Oh. And it reminds me how nothing is impossible, because I would read it over and over, and then I would ask myself that question: is there anything too hard for God? Is there, like, in different ways, is there anything too hard for God? Yeah. Is there anything too hard for God? Like, just to make my brain say, no, it's going to be all right.
That's
God
right.
has the answer. He has everything. He's going to do what needs to be done. So I would say that's my favorite scripture.
That's good. What is your contact information? How do people get in contact with you? How do they schedule a session with you? Do you focus on just survivors of sexual abuse, sexual assault, or
so sexual abuse and domestic violence? Those are the women that I work with, women of color that have dealt with sexual abuse and domestic violence, because that's my story. So,
gotcha. Where can we reach you?
In order for people to contact me, there's many ways. You can follow me on Instagram, which is the HRT Coach. On Facebook, I'm Lynn Meyer, but I have a website, which is lynnmeyer.com. And you can schedule a call with me on that. You can see my services. You can ask me questions. And so those are the ways to contact me.
Yes. And do you do a complimentary consult first?
I do.
Okay, yeah. Because I'm about to say all of them do that. All of us do that, because because, I mean, you have to make sure. And then there are times when they think they need you, but they may need a referral to something else.
Right. So, now I do have qualifying questions. And
of course.
That'll help both of us. But yes, absolutely, I can make that happen.
And I have to say that because now everything's going on, Lynn. Everybody's everything to everybody.
Yeah.
One day, and it's no judgment, so I'm not here to condemn. And God tells me to shut my mouth in a loving way, and I have to be obedient, right? Because I could go to so now we doing this, and now maybe people are finding themselves, but I'm just saying, people, we're saying be careful. Yes. And any coach who says sign up today, they don't even know what you're dealing with. But sign up today for $200, they don't even know what your problem is. Yeah. Be careful.
Yes.
But that's another topic for another time. Lynn Meyer, right, Lynn? I mean, come on, we could do a show on that.
I know.
I can help you. They didn't even ask you what, but pay me, and I got the solution. Well, you don't even know what they don't even know what you're dealing with. But for $200, they go.
I can tell you what you need. Okay.
Come on, y'all. Yeah. But that's another show, and that's not today's topic. Lynn Meyer has to go. She has a house full of kids and a loving husband, right? Yes. So she has to go. Lynn Meyer, sister, you're always welcome.
Thank
to the Dr.
so
Don
house. Always for just inviting me, and we got
a tour of your house.
I love the interaction. Like I said, I'm home. I'm home when I come.
Yeah, so, and she showed us the tour of her house. Her light went off over there, and we see all this.
I was like, flip.
Yeah.
And look, keep going.
Okay. Whatever, girl. Look, I love the virtual space.
It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
We done got a tour. What y'all cooking tonight? Let's see what's in the kitchen. No, I'm kidding. Hey. But
lasagna.
oh, what am I having? Girl, I don't even know. I'll eat when I get home tonight.
Yeah.
The Dr. Dawn Radio Show. We always want to thank Lynn Meyer for sharing her powerful, powerful testimony. God bless you, girl.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
You too.